Breaking news coming in. Prime Minister's opening remarks at the consultation meeting with the Chief Ministers on replacing the Planning Commission. Prime Minister said there is, and I quote, need for a new setup which will help India take a big leap forward in the spirit of cooperative federalism. Prime Minister also said need for to relook at Planning Commission has been raised since 1992. Invoking the spirit of cooperative federalism, the Prime Minister said the current global scenario offered a chance for India to take a big leap forward. The Prime Minister called for abandoning the incremental approach. He stressed on the need for a suitable body to replace the Planning Commission so that strengths of the country can be suitably harnessed. Let me go across to my colleague Brijesh, who is joining us on the phone line. Brijesh, what else did the Prime Minister say?
Well, the Prime Minister made it very clear that, that there is a need to completely rejig the Planning Commission to make it more in tune with the current need of the country. And he also stressed a great deal about the equal participation about the centre.
Brijesh, I'm sorry to intervene as of now, but Arun Jaitley, the Finance Minister of the country, is speaking, in fact, at the press conference. Let's listen in to what he's saying.
The meeting today was attended by all states and union territories. Most chief ministers were present themselves. The Lieutenant Governor of Delhi, Andaman and Nicobar and Puducherry was present. Two chief ministers were represented by their finance ministers, West Bengal and Mizoram. And the two election-going states, Jharkhand and Jammu Kashmir, were represented by senior officials. The Prime Minister made certain opening comments which have all been loaded on the net, on the PIB site. So the Prime Minister's comments and a brief resume of that, you will get it on the PIB website. Amongst the important points that he made was that there are three different teams. The Prime Minister and the Chief Ministers is one. The Prime Minister and his Council of Ministers is the second. And the Prime Minister and the bureaucracy is the third. A combination of this constitutes Team India, which effectively administers the country. And therefore, it is this combination of Team India which should be reflected in the alternative restructured model of the Planning Commission. The thrust of the alternative is to promote cooperative federalism. Planning Commission was conceived in 1950 during the era of a controlled economy. But now both the state and the private sector have a very important role. And therefore the role, relevance and restructuring of the Planning Commission has to be looked into afresh. The first introspection was made in 1992 after the liberalization process started. Thereafter, in 2012, a parliamentary consultative committee made certain recommendations. He also referred to an important comment to the Planning Commission made by Dr. Manmohan Singh on 30th April 2014, before he relinquished office, as to the changed role in which the Planning Commission has to reinvent itself in the present environment. The Prime Minister mentioned that having served as a Chief Minister for a long time, in dealing with the central government and the Planning Commission, his heart was with the Chief Ministers. And therefore, he believed that the process of policy planning has to now change from top to bottom to bottom to top. He also mentioned that in most developed countries in the world, think tanks outside the structure of the government, the MOS planning is also here with us. Thank you. The think tanks outside the government structure also have a very important role in the life of the country. And therefore, in order to expand economic activity and make sure that we are able to play an effective role in the development of the country, this role has to be reinvented. The Secretary of the Planning Commission, who's here with us, then made a detailed presentation on the evolution and the role of the Planning Commission or the alternative structure in the present scenario. She also put forward certain questions which are now required to be addressed. These had already been conveyed to the various state governments, and the state governments had mostly brought written responses. Along with that, the chief ministers and others made oral interventions. There was a larger consensus to the effect that the context has changed. There is a need to decentralize both power and planning. States have to be strengthened